What's up, guys? Welcome to 2025. Today we're gonna talk about pretty much everything when it comes down to DPS classes, what's good, what's bad, my first impression, and what you can expect from the spec playing on PTR right now. Now again, this is a subject to change. This is most likely gonna change, guaranteed it's gonna change, so don't take everything I say today close to your heart. This is pretty much first impression and how your class or spec plays out as of now speaking. Major tunings have not arrived yet. They're potentially going to be tier set changes and most likely going to be class changes. So this will pretty much be for the funsies for all of you out there on Twitch and YouTube. Again, I want to make a disclaimer. This is not a tier list. It's just first impressions. And if you take everything I say today close to heart and reroll based on my initial thoughts, then you're an idiot. That's all I got to say. Okay, so don't take it. Don't take anything into close to heart. And that being said, I think it's time first to talk about melee classes. I did say I want to start with the melee DPSs first, and I'll give you my first impressions on so far what looks to be good for melees. Again, there are some classes and specs that I did not have a chance to try, and that's why I will begin with them, telling you what I have so far for them and why do I think I am not ready to talk about throughout them. Okay, so the first spec that I have not researched, nor did I PTR test, has been Feral Druid. Now Feral Druid is a spec that I unfortunately did not have the time to PTR test, so I don't know exactly how powerful it is going from season 1 to season 2. That spec is going to be. Keep in mind that a lot of people are unhappy with the current tier set for Feral, which means most likely not a good initial news for them. Now that doesn't mean the Feral damage is bad. Not the case at all. I did play with several Feral Druids on PTR, and all of them seem to perform decent. Now, performing decent doesn't mean they're bad or good. It just means decent performance so far. Potentially, I will be exploring this likely at the end of the week, maybe like Friday or Saturday, because first I wanted to go over a little bit more testing on Frost Decay. That's why I said certainly I'm so far unaware of how this plays out. Okay, so maybe like next Friday in like 5 days or so, I would have enough time to pretty much cover all the specs, or like test all the specs. So that's pretty much like first impression so far on Feral. Moving forward, another spec that I haven't had a chance or the privilege to try has been Havoc. Havoc is again a spec that has been heavily criticized for the past couple of months, speaking specifically Mythic Plus, especially in Season 1, where the spec hasn't really seen much of a changes, nor has seen any power spikes. Unfortunately, Havoc has not met the requirements there for Season 1. Now, Season 2, they're already entering with a massive bugs when it comes down to their toolkit. Now, the biggest bug so far has been the I-Beam, which pretty much extends your meta by infinite amount of time, so you can cast like back-to-back 10,000 I-Beams, which pretty much means that those kind of game-breaking bugs are giving you inaccurate estimates of how the spec is performing. Now, at least from the initial thoughts of the spec, I feel like the burst damage capabilities are definitely there. Sustained damage felt pretty weak so far, and nothing really has changed for the utility, mobility, and defensiveness, which again, I wouldn't be surprised if they target Havoc GH in the upcoming weeks or days, because that's a spec that most definitely needs some love. Out of all the testing that I've done so far, Enhanced Shaman has felt the strongest, like not even close. No other DPS comes, no other melee DPS comes close to Enhanced performance so far, and I think it's evident. Now, even though Enhanced has seen a major changes, not only for their talents, but also the hero talents, right? Which right now, they don't play Stormbringer anymore, at least for the majority of the time. Their current damage capabilities are beyond good. Now, prior damage, single target, AoE, you name it, they can do it. I am extremely happy with how Enhanced is playing so far. I'm a little bit concerned about a tier set, but other than that, I'm pretty confident that the Enhanced will likely get tuned a little bit down, because it's just not fair compared to most other classes. It's just not fair. the damage is definitely out there, and I'm pretty happy to pretty happy to play Enhanced myself as an ult if it remains that strong. That's about Enhanced. I feel like the defensive part hasn't really changed there, nor the utility. I guess the you can mention Sundering, because Sundering no longer intercept targets if you play a talent. It just does damage right now. It has a chance to reset back to back, which, you know, again, I'll take that probably. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Enhanced. I think so far it's goated as fuck. And if you think otherwise about Enhanced, you are probably delusional or you are a monkey. Assassination Rogue doesn't really impress me. Now, not only the tier set is pretty boring, but it's also pretty weak tier set. Assassination Rogue patterns and, you know, ways of playing hasn't really made a significant shift when it comes down to Season 1 to Season 2. The tier set, however, for Season 1 is much better than a Season 2. Now, the output itself, especially numerically speaking so far, and I know it's very early to talk about the numerical things because things will be adjusted and changed and nerfed and buffed, whatever. But currently, the way they play, it's, again, numbers are there, you know? Like, now, to say Asa doesn't do damage, that's going to be a mistake. Obviously, that is the case. Unfortunately, at least from the keys that I've tested so far, it seems like once the targets live long enough, then only then Assad actually does damage, which again is the case kind of on Season 1 as well, which is gonna remain the same thing Season 2. So bad tier set, damage profile is still good. Nothing really has changed for their utility or defensive part, but yeah, I'd love to see the adjustments on behalf of tier set, perhaps either a change to the work or something else when it comes down to that. Other than this, I think it's still going to be a good pickup. Most likely a good pickup unless, again, it gets changed severely. Fury Warrior, I am extremely dissatisfied of how things are. Although the rotation has changed slightly, it just feels like a complete, like, I wouldn't say RNG spec, but it just playstyle is just, I don't know. Nothing really has changed there, except for the tier set sometimes makes you have a different priorities. There's a lot of bugs so far on Fury Warrior, especially with Bloodbath. So I don't know. I think this is something that I would love to see being adjusted in the future. Damage also is not quite there too. The capabilities for sustained damage also not quite there. Obviously, the burst damage is still present, and for low level keys, you're still gonna do great damage. But in terms of fun, I would say so far probably in a lower, you know, spectrum of the specs. I don't quite find Fury to be a fun spec in my opinion. So when I tested Unholy, it did insane damage on AoE, like absolutely crazy damage on AoE with the epidemic, which indicates for two options. Now you can have an option of Rider or Sandlin, although current Sandlin actually does quite good sustained damage, like every 45-ish seconds. So I'm pretty happy with how Unholy plays out, especially lack of without any major cooldowns. You know, the sustained damage is quite good. Decent single target with Mythic Plus talents, but AoE is just something that just carries it forward, I must say. They lost a bit of durability, but the overall toolkit remains the same. You know, AMZ, you have stun, AMS, combat resurrection if you need to, and that's pretty much it, you know. So pretty happy with how it plays. I like the tier set as well, and I like the playstyle. I like the team, visuals, etc. So definitely still a great pickup so far. Paladin, first impressions on Paladin. Again, I think it's one of the specs that remains this time around the easiest spec in the game, without any questions. It has the same short offensive cooldowns. It has good survivability, immunity, and in my opinion, it's just quite fun because it's just mashy to play. It's just spammy. You just press two buttons and you do damage. You know, that's what I find people to have fun too. In terms of output, I wouldn't say it's extremely good output damage-wise, but it's most definitely not bad. I don't like sometimes that you overcap on Holy Power and you're unable to spend your resources efficiently. You just get to spam like back-to-back Divine Storm or Final Verdict for like, let's say 5 or 6 times in a row. So that's something that I don't really like on Paladin. Maybe perhaps buff the spenders and nerf the amount of free procs you can get. I don't know. Or maybe rework the tier set or something that doesn't feel like you press 6 buttons back to back from the same one. Okay, so Windwalker, even though Windwalker has been, I guess I wouldn't say heavily changed, but most definitely changed, I still don't feel it's quite there right now. You know, it's either gonna be bark or it's gonna be meh. One of those two. I don't like the AoE on Windwalker Monk, even though it got changed recently. I feel like the AoE is still gonna be one of their weaknesses so far, especially out of cooldowns. It feels like you're doing tank damage. Now, I like the single target. When it comes down to single target, specifically Monk is quite good. Like, I was comparing this with like other melees, and it feels like you are definitely one of the you know, higher placed, you know, specs so far. So that's something that I really like. Defensive part remains pretty much unchanged. Utility part remains pretty much unchanged. The tier set, not a big fan of it. A bit of RNG there attached to it. And I don't think Monk needs more RNG. Other than that, I think it's warrant more changes, especially on a tier set. So yeah, I'm not really happy with how the spec is right now. Survival Hunter, honestly, from all of the playtime so far, it's another spec where I feel like they are kind of lost at the moment. The tier set itself is probably one of the weaker ones out there, and it's most definitely a spec that I dislike them, like tier set that I dislike the most out of all melees. I don't like it. Now, when it comes down to the output itself, again, it's not a bad at all. I would just rank it above average performance wise, but we don't care about performance. We care about design, we care about how fun it is, and we care about everything else outside of performance, because again, damage will get nerfed to buff, that's whatever. But the tier set itself is just really bad on survival, so that's not really a good first impression. Nothing new for utility, nothing new for defensiveness, most definitely nothing new for the toolkit either. So not starting very good. Now, this compared to MM Hunter or BM Hunter, where they got much bigger changes, is a disappointment, I must say, for survival. Alright, Frost Decay. We can do Frost Decay. Frost Decay. Okay, so a lot of people dislike Frost Decay current tier set, and I feel like that's kind of like half of the classes so far. But the Frost Decay tier set, even though it's bad, the whole spec itself is still, in my opinion, in a good place. The pattern is still there, the crazy damage is still there, good prio, good single target, and good funnel damage as well. Well, you can barely call it funnel, but whatever, sure, fine. I was playing Bread build, by the way. So the defensive part has been adjusted slightly, but it's still, I believe, you're gonna be one of the tankier specs. You have a good short and measure short and long cooldowns as well, like 2 cooldowns in case you need them. And utility unchanged as well. The tier set, once again, pretty bad, but overall performance-wise, can't complain. Again, tunings will get soon in, which means you're gonna find out what looks to be good or bad in like a month from now. So this is not like a final placement or anything, just like first impression. That's about Frost Decay. I don't really like the, you know, I don't really like the set myself, at least. Let's go first with a Sub Rogue. Honestly, Sub Rogue is a spec that I'm quite disappointed playing. So first of all, your tier set doesn't really work. So maybe we should make another one. Hold on. Tier set complete. Actually, not even point. No point. Let's just say probably bark because the set doesn't even work. Which is yeah. So I can't even say anything about Sub Rogue. Yeah. Okay. So tier set doesn't work. Okay, let's just put it there. The set doesn't work. Nothing to say here. Probably a spec that will reevaluate once they get to fix the tier set. What else can I say about this? About Sub Rogue. No changes on Sub Rogue. Absolutely zero. Gameplay kind of the same. You're now going to be more forced on perhaps even holding cooldowns for your dances. Especially now that your tier set kind of revolves around the dance. Force set feels like it's a lot more consistent compared to other melees because you have a control over when you want to get the damage whenever you dance, pretty much. Military have cooldowns, major cooldowns appear a little bit whack, but other than that, I like mathematically speaking, first glance, the set list is amazing, but it doesn't work right now, so you can test it out, you know? So one of the better tier sets out there for sure on Subtlety Rogue. Much better than Asa, much better than Outlaw in my opinion, so I think it's good. Yeah. Arms Warrior is in the same spot as Fury pretty much. The rotation has changed on Arms Warrior. You don't spam executes like a monkey all the time now. So now you're a bit more focused on thinking about overpower procs, etc. So again, that's something that you can actively shift your rotation around. Or I guess it depends how strong it is at the end of the day. Utility-wise, unchanged. I guess for both Fury and Arms, they are benefiting from 10% more stamina, so they are going to be more tanky in the upcoming patch. But other than this, yeah, I feel like maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I'm gonna put Arms here actually. I'm gonna put Arms here, but if Arms and Survival here, then I think Asa Rogue should probably be here in that case. Even though I don't really like the tier set on Asa. So kind of tough one if I gotta be honest with you. So I guess put it there so far. Outlaw Rogue is the last pick I think to talk about today, and that's gonna be in a category I don't know. Now Outlaw itself, again, the general rotation hasn't really seen much shift because your force set focuses on dispatch a lot, but the tier set arguably should be not a bad one for you at all. Should be a decent one out there. You still are a cap damage dealer. You still don't have the burst capabilities. Your sustain is really good though. Sustain is most definitely really good for Outlaw, which makes me believe on a high level keys you're gonna perform better than a low level keys, which can be problematic if the mobs die too quick for you. So that's why for Outlaw is you know, you can most definitely see the area where it could excel higher than like high level keys. That's pretty much it. You know, I don't have enough experience yet for Outlaw to judge it. It'll take. I mean, we played together, Clushy, and I think you did great. I think your Outlaw damage did great, but then again, right now we're not really focused on damage itself on Outlaw, so yeah, this is just pretty much first impression of all the specs that I have so far in mind. Again, not a tier list, so don't take this don't blow this out of proportion. Okay. I think that's all I could say about melees.